Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of investing in cash flow and looking at in cash flow, right? And I know that's something you are like super passionate about, something I'm super passionate about. And so from that perspective, I'd love, like, because we both talk about it in a little bit of different way, but we like always end up in the same place, which is really fun, right? So what I'd love to do is have you kind of start kind of where you were, if you remember where you were last week, just talking about like why, first of all, let me do this. Why do you think investing for cash flow is so important compared to kind of the way that people are trained traditionally? Go to school, get a job, invest in a 401k, accumulate assets, all that garbage. Like, talk to me.
So if I can go scriptural for a little bit, it'll bring more context to what I want to.
Let's go.
Okay. So the best example I can give are the three servants and the master. The master leaves, this is in scripture. The master leaves and gives one of the servants 5 talents. He gives the second servant 3 talents, and he gives the first servant 1 talent. And if we were to look it up, I want to be exact about how much money that actually is. So how much does a biblical talent in today's times would be $30,000 per talent.
Okay.
So $30,000. So each talent was technically $30,000.
Okay.
So he gave the first servant, the master did, this is a representation of God giving money, resources to a servant, $150,000.
Okay.
The second servant got 90,000, and the first servant got 30,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the third servant, they got the $150,000, doubled their money to $300,000. The second servant went from 90,000 to 180,000. But the first servant does what most of us do. People who don't have a plan, people who don't know exactly what they want to do with their finances, they're scared crapless. They don't really know how to multiply, how to grow. They don't have any developmental skills. Guess what they do? They hoard their money.
Yep.
They put it in a savings account. They hide it away. They put it in a safe. They do nothing with it because they're scared to lose it.
Backyard, under the mattress.
That's right. And what did the master do to the servant that hid the money that didn't multiply it?
Chastised him.
He chastised him and took it away.
Mm-hmm.
Which is typically what happens to people who hoard money or accumulate retirement money long term. It gets taken away. Mm-hmm. Government and taxes, and then you in usury because you don't know what to do with it. You're just like rationing it out until you pass away, only for it to run out before you pass away. It happens every
inflation.
time.
If you take that 30 grand and you put it under your mattress for 50 years and it just sits there, it's going to lose.
It's not 30 grand no more.
No. Yeah. It's probably 20% the value that it was when you first started.
That's a fact. So when I say that, and there are some that say that one talent was even worth 400,000. So that means that 5 talents would have been closer to $2 million back then. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so what happens is a lot of people that raise their money or they save their money or they store their cash for retirement on a rainy day, but they never learn cash flow creation strategies. When you retire from that A1 day one job or business that you stored your capital from, and then you retire, you're living on the accumulation. Mm-hmm. Not on the cash flow. And anytime you live on the accumulation and not the cash flow, you're subjected to the tax flow. So if I live on accumulation, not the cash flow, I'm subjected to whatever the taxes are of that day and time, but I'm also subjected to the naivety of my own understanding, which will cause me to make a bunch of mistakes that I cannot afford. However, the person who's more dedicated to the cash flow and not the accumulation, you're going to build a system to where you can make a mistake every month. You can blow every dime. You can blow every dime for 10 months and still get the same amount of money every single month to start over again.
Yep.
And what I thought about, Chris, was what makes more sense? Accumulation of $1 million to where if you blow it, that's it. Or accumulation of 100,000 a month, that if you blow it 1 month, it comes back the next month for you to start over again. I chose cash flow, not accumulation.
Amen. I love it, man. Well, so talk to me. One of the things I'm really big on is psychology, right? Like I love thinking about like, why do we, do what we do as human beings, and like the psychology of money, right? And when we think about it like that, it's money. Money is not math. Like a lot of people look at money and investing, and they look at it on a spreadsheet, and they think like, why would I do this when I could do that? Like, why would I put money here when it earns a certain rate of return when I could go invest in the S&P and get 8% for whatever time, and it'll destroy whatever asset you're talking about, but the bottom line is money and life doesn't exist on a spreadsheet, and the math and money are completely different, right? And the
no, Chris, you got to say that again. You can't run past that. Math and money. Say that again. Math and money. What?
Math and money are completely different. They're two totally separate things. They are.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But it's true. And why is that? Right? Like, I mean, I just said it, but like, why is it that that's the case? Is because we don't make decisions with our money based on a spreadsheet, based on logic. Everybody, I don't care who you are, it's your psychology, it's your emotion. We make these decisions emotionally, and it's our understanding, it's our psychology that goes into our results and our behavior and our relationship with money. And that's ultimately what it is. So you can show me the math of everything, and I'm going to show you why it doesn't matter. You know? What do you think?
Bro. I literally just put. I'm literally typing what you're saying in the notes. Like, so if you see this in a tweet, dog, just know that I stole it from you and you're getting no credit.
Okay, perfect. So,
bro, math and money are two different equations.
Yeah,
bro.
That's it. Are we done with the podcast today? Is that it?
Bro, we can sit and preach about just that piece
for days, man.
For days.
Yeah.
You said people don't make decisions on spreadsheets.
No, they don't. And so
they just budget on spreadsheets. So you correct your decisions, or you measure your decisions on a spreadsheet, but you judge your decision in cash.
Totally. Your money is just a scoreboard. Fair enough?
Yes.
Like, that's it. And so like what we need to do, and this is why, like what I just said, like this is why I always say, if you're struggling with money, it's because your money and how you're handling it is not in alignment with your values and your beliefs and your life's objectives, period.
Yeah.
And you have to align what you're doing with your money, with your values, your beliefs, your psychology, your strengths, your weaknesses. And you have to understand the human behavior side of it, the emotional side of all this stuff. Because listen, I mean, you're married, I'm married, I got kids, you got kids. I think most people listening probably are. Have you ever like made a plan with your money and spreadsheeted it out and had a budget and done it all, and then all of a sudden had your wife come to you and say, hey, baby, I want to do this. I need this. I need this. Like money, like emotionally was all of a sudden getting spent whether it was like had benefit or not. But all of a sudden, like, I don't know about you, but I have a real hard time saying no to my wife. You know, when she's in that mode, you know, and it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if I'm tempted to say no, she's gonna find a way to get me to say yes, if you know what I mean. Like, so it's like she like, it is what it is, right? Like, so on a spreadsheet, I've got it all planned out, but then emotion comes into it that messes up the whole plan. You got to realize you got to like line things up. You're laughing. So it's, you know, we are where we are. Like we got to align our money with values, with our beliefs. And here's the deal. This is why I think cash flow is so important, right? Because like, think about psychologically. I'm a big believer, and I say this on a lot of my videos, and this is why I say it. And I think a lot of times, you know how I do it. I like just I like drop a statement and I skate right past it because
Facts.
I'm moving 1,000 miles an hour. But like the whole idea, and I want everybody to resonate with this, that your brain, your emotions, your mind, your conscience is only going to allow you to put 100% of effort into whatever you're doing. I don't care if it's money. I don't care if it's your marriage. I don't care if it's your parenting. I don't care if it's your business. But if you don't believe with 100% certainty that you can be successful, your spirit, you're not going to be able to put 100% of effort into it. It's just psychologically impossible.
That's right.
Right? And so from that perspective, if we look at a spreadsheet, I could spreadsheet it out all day and say, hey, Jake, listen, you make 100 grand a year, hypothetically, right? You make 100 grand a year. You need to save money. Let's say you need to save 10% per year. But based on inflation, based on the growth of your money and all this stuff and how much money you're going to need to have 30 years from now to maintain your standard of living, because you don't want to go backwards, do you?
That's right.
So just to maintain the standard of living, you're going to need to have almost $5 million in an account, saving $10,000 a year in 30 years. Do you believe that's possible? Saving, accumulating.
Based on passive, just leaving my money in a market without knowing the fund managers and initiatives and being like knee deep in my investment strategies? No.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say you're doing what everybody says to do. Put your money in the S&P and ride it out. It's going to be up, it's going to be down, but you're going to make 8%. You're going to be good to go, right? Like that's what they said. And so even if you took about like reinvesting the dividends and stuff of that nature, if you do it that way, a lot of people are like, oh, that's going to win. You realize like the detriment, that inflation has on the equation. You don't realize the impact that the managed money fees have on the equation. You don't realize the negative years when you lose $1, not only, if I have, the average versus actual rate of return, right? Like if I have $100,000 in a savings account and I lose 20%, now I got $80,000. I got to earn.
That's right.
I got to earn 25% just to get back to
right.
even, right? So it's people don't realize, once again, math and money are different. I can't lose 20% and then gain 20% and be even. It's not the same thing. And so
if you lose 20, you got to gain 40 to be even.
It's gross, right? Like, so when you look at that, and then you take inflation into consideration, all these things, you realize that, man, I'm fighting a losing battle. And I think subconsciously most people realize, or even if you don't realize it, and I believe this is the crux of the financial crisis in the United States, around the world, the crux of the savings crisis in the United States, the investment crisis in the United States, is the fact that people intuitively know, even though they don't know why, they can't put their finger on it, they couldn't articulate it, they can't explain it, but they know that, crap, man, like, I'm going to save money, I'm going to invest money, I'm going to put money in a 401k, an IRA, a Roth, this or that, whatever. And they don't believe that that's going to get them where they want to go. And that is why they're not saving enough. Because why am I going to delay gratification, put money in an account, do all these things, and then ultimately get to the end of the rainbow and there's no pot of gold?